assuming it's my... Hello, hello? Awesome. So Hearthstone is sort of the scrappy team, so we're going to see if I can do a 20-minute presentation in about 8 minutes. Here we go. So PAX East and PAX is awesome. Love this show. It's amazing. I've been coming here for years. Yeah, and stuff. We announced in PAX East 2013, and it was awesome there too when we announced PAX East, or we announced Naxxramas in 2014 here at PAX East. So PAX East has just been an amazing show for Hearthstone. There's a thing called Fireside Gatherings. You can go to www.firesidegatherings.com. It's an amazing program, and if you go there, it's find one near you or set up one near you. It's just super kick-ass, and I recommend it. And here's some awesome pictures from some Fireside Gatherings. Okay, enough of that. Okay, so it was just a year ago that we announced, which it still sort of blows my mind. Thank you. It was just a year ago that we launched. I knew I was going to mess that up. And we've done a lot of awesome stuff. We had the World Championship. We have a new World Championship coming if you want to participate. There's even more tournaments going on this year than there have been, or than there was last year, which is kind of crazy because there was a lot going on last year. Pretty much every weekend you can go and find one and watch it. We're just speeding to the good stuff. Goblins versus Gnome was awesome. Yay. We released on Android and iPad also this year for tablet, which is awesome. Okay. So really the question you're going to have though at this point is, yeah, tablets are awesome, but what about phone? Because you guys, we've been talking about phone, and we've run into some challenges on phone, nothing we can't overcome, but certainly when I first started looking at phone, I was a little bit concerned that we were going to be able to make, a AAA version of Hearthstone on phone, make it an amazing game and just as cool as it is on tablets. I'm happy to say after a bunch of work on the UI, we have been able to do that. We're actually in alpha right now, so within Blizzard we're all playing it, and the feedback we've generally gotten is people saying, I didn't know if it was going to be awesome on phone, but I'm actually now playing it even more than I thought I would, than I thought I would. I'm going to show you some pictures of what the UI looks like on phone. So we actually really managed to get the feel of the UI on phone and still make it entirely usable. So we have Collection Manager, which was definitely a challenge. There was definitely some work here, but we feel like it's very usable. And we have Play Mode, which there's the cards, and they become larger or smaller depending on the state of the board, but it's very easy to play in this mode. I've been playing a ton in this mode. And one thing to mention here is that if you're playing on phone, your account is the same as if you were playing on tablet, as if you were playing on PC. You're playing against the same people who, you could be playing on phone. Somebody else is playing on tablet or PC. It's all mixed together. It's all one group playing together. That's pack opening. But really the most important thing to talk about here is that within the next couple of months, it's going to be out on phone and on Android. So we're very, very close. So iOS and Android phone coming very, very soon. So I want to talk a little bit now about Curse of Naxxramas because it was our very first adventure. And it did a lot of things that we really, really liked and wanted in an adventure. I mean, it made it so that you could play in single player against a bunch of the different cool bosses from this environment week after week. So one week it would open, you could play a bunch of bosses, you could play a bunch of class challenges, you could play a bunch of heroic mode bosses if you wanted, and you would earn cards that would sort of change the metagame week to week through doing battle with the bosses in Naxxramas. And we really loved how that worked out, and we really loved actually exploring the space that Naxxramas was. It was a well-loved space in Warcraft, and we got to explore it further. And we were thinking, if we're going to do another adventure, what could this adventure be? Because it would have to be a place that, had epic and awesome bosses. It would have to be a place that has tons and tons Warcraft lore that people could explore and see in a different way, sort of see how Hearthstone explored that lore. It'd have to be a little bit mysterious, sort of a place that had a bunch of mystery about it. And I think we have found the perfect place to do that, and I just thought I'd show you right now.
Have you heard the rumblings? The mountain stirs once more. Beneath its crags, cliffs and rocks, there's evil in its core. Fire made flesh, dragon's breath, teeth and claws and flame, calling any heroes out there that are brave or just insane. Rock Mountain, a Hearthstone adventure.
So, as some of you had no doubt guessed, Black Rock Mountain is going to be our very next adventure. And it's going to be mechanically a lot like Naxxramas in that each week there's going to be a new wing that's going to come out, and it's going to have new bosses to fight, and new class challenges to do battle with, and then if that wasn't enough, new heroic bosses. And when you beat the normal bosses and the class challenges, there's going to be cards that you earn that are going to affect the metagame. So week over week, there will be new bosses, new class challenges, new cards, new metagame. The thing that's a little bit different about Black Rock Mountain is it's got sort of a different vibe. I mean, Naxxramas has a very specific vibe. Black Rock Mountain is all about sort of two epic forces, villains that are inhabiting this place. On one hand, I want to talk sort of a little bit about the beginning, where we had this mountain. We have these dark iron dwarves who are living in this mountain, and they want to increase their power. So they think, we got a great idea. We're going to summon this Fire Lord Ragnaros, and he's going to work for us. That'll be awesome. And that didn't work out entirely as they planned, in that he showed up, enslaved them, and brought a bunch of his fire buddies to hang out in the mountain and sort of tell them what to do. So the Dark Iron Dwarves are still there, but it's really Ragnaros running the show in the molten core of the mountain. And he has the same goal that, you know, a lot of epic villains do, and that's, of course, to take over the world. There's only one thing sort of standing in his way. There's another force in the mountain. There's the great dragon, Nefarian. And Nefarian sort of rules the top, the upper spire of Black Rock Mountain, and he has his Black Rock Orc buddies and tons of twisted creations that he and his alchemist has made to aid him. And he also has the goal, of course, to take over the world. The thing being said about those two forces is the one thing they hate more than the rest of the world is each other. And so they spend most of their time fighting each other. So what you're going to do is get involved in this struggle and start out by helping Nefarian, going down to have a little chat with Ragnaros to see if you can convince him to, well, probably die, actually. So in the mountain, you're going to see, you know, fire elementals and all the fiery buddies of Ragnaros. You're going to see tons and tons of dragons. You're going to see all of the bosses. Well, I shouldn't say that. You will see a number of the bosses that you have seen from various dungeons and raids if you've played World of Warcraft. So tons and tons of these characters will be all throughout the mountain and all throughout Black Rock Mountain Adventure. We are going to have 5 wings. There's going to be 17 bosses that you will do battle with. The first wing is Black Rock Depths. That's the Dark Iron Dwarves there on the left. They are going to be the first line of defense for Ragnaros trying to stop you from getting to him. And so you're going to do battle with these Dark Iron Dwarves on your way to the second wing, which is, of course, the Molten Core, which is where Ragnaros lives. So the question is, what does one of these wings look like? Well, week 1, when Black Rock Mountain releases, is going to look like this. These are going to be the 3 bosses that you will do battle with. That being said, when you think about bosses in Black Rock Mountain, sometimes it's the mountain itself that is the villain. So in this case, the first boss, while it's technically Corin Direbrew, it's actually the Grim Guzzler is the boss. It's the bar where the Dark Iron Dwarves hang out and drink. So there's always a bar fight going on down there. There's always guys from all over leaping into the fight, and sort of his hero power is about that when you do battle with him, where guys from both your deck and Corin Direbrew's deck are going to be constantly leaping into the fight just on their own. And you're going to have to build a deck around that to sort of defeat that mode of play, or that way of facing an enemy. You'll then move into the Dark Iron Arena, where you'll battle tons of legendary minions from all over Azeroth if you want to fight your way through it. And then finally to the Dark Iron Emperor, who is the last boss on the end of the first wing on your way to Ragnaros. And of course, when you defeat each of these, you'll get a card. When you defeat all of them, there's a legendary card at the end of the wing, and then there's more cards for the class challenges. This is what the new board looks like. And I'm actually always kind of blown away whenever our artists give us, a new board, because each time I look at one of the boards and I look at the clickables that they put in the board, I sort of think that the new board is my favorite board, and this is no exception. You're going to be able to upgrade weapons as clickables on this board. You can summon dragons, you can play with runes, you can mess around with the lava. There's a lot of fun stuff to do with this board. So yeah, just playing with this board makes me happy. It is pretty awesome. So you're probably saying at this point, all of this is cool, I'm excited about this, but tell me about some of the cards that are going to affect the metagame in new ways, because I mean that's really the heart of the Blackrock Mountain adventure. And so of course you're going to see several cards that are related to the Dark Iron Dwarves. Dark Iron Dwarves are sort of core to the Blackrock Depths experience, and you're definitely going to get to play with some of those cards. The first is the Dark Iron Skulker. This card is based around the idea, it's a rogue card, and it's based around the idea that the backstab ability rogues have is awesome, and wouldn't it be more awesome if rogues got to backstab, everybody? It's, from the metagame point of view, it's pretty interesting because it gives you the ability to drop a card and deal with a rush that's going on if there's a lot of low-cost stuff coming at you, and also leave a minion on the table to carry on the fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how this affects the rogue metagame. We have another Dark Iron Dwarf, the Grim Patron. So whenever he takes damage, another of his buddies jumps in. He's sort of like embodiment of the Grim Guzzler bar. So you can imagine playing this guy on the table, pinging him for one, okay, there's 2 of them on the table. Playing Whirlwind, okay, there's 4 of them on the table. And very quickly you can overrun your enemy with just this guy. So he is pretty amazing for that as well. The heart of this adventure, though, is all about dragons. So we love the idea of dragons in Hearthstone, and we love the idea that, hey, I put, a Nixia, or I put a Sarah, or I put Alex Strauss in my deck, but you can't really build a full deck around that idea. And we wanted you to be able to not just put that card into your deck and have it, be a finisher for whatever the theme of the rest of your deck is. We wanted you to be able to put that card in your deck and have it be all about dragons. So we have a bunch of cards that really support the dragon theme. We have the Blackwing Technician. And so when she comes into play, if you're holding a dragon, if you have a dragon in your hand, she gets +1/+1. So it becomes a 3/5 for 3, which is a pretty strong minion. She's also pretty interesting because when she comes into play, if she gets +1/+1, you're actually communicating to your opponent, hey, I have a dragon in my hand, and based on the metagame, your opponent may be able to figure out what dragon it is in your hand and play around that, or maybe you have a dragon they didn't expect and they play around something you don't have. So there's a lot of communication that goes on here as well, but I definitely expect her to be one of the key pieces of a dragon deck. Of course, we'd have to have a dragon, or actually we have multiple dragons, but this is just one of them, for Blackrock Mountain. And so when it comes into play, it summons a random one-cost minion for your opponent. So you think you can deal with it, but you're just not quite sure. But it makes for a lot of interesting things, and a 5/6 for 4 is very, very strong. It wouldn't be a adventure around Blackrock Mountain unless we had this guy, Rend Blackhand, the chief of the Blackrock Orcs. And, he's so badass that he rides a dragon. So what he does is, if you're holding a dragon when he comes into play, he destroys a legendary minion. So what that means is your opponent drops a legendary, they think they've got their end-game state met, you drop this guy, he takes out their legendary, and suddenly you have a big guy on the table and you turn things around, and suddenly it's a whole different game. He's pretty awesome for that. Of course, we have a bunch more cards that will be coming as well. There will be more dragons, more fire cards, more class cards, more of all of that good stuff. So tons more cards coming, or actually, I guess, 31 total cards coming. And lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the card backs that are coming. So that season card back is the card back you get for getting to level 20 or to rank 20 or better in this season that's going on right now. It's pretty easy to do, and it's an awesome card back. The heroic card back is the card back you get if you defeat all of the bosses throughout all 5 wings of Blackrock Mountain on heroic. That's the card back you can show to show off that you're pretty much a badass. And the last one is actually a card back for pre-ordering Blackrock Mountain. So if you, on the 19th or 20th, depending on your region, it's going to be available for pre-order. When you do that, when Blackrock Mountain comes out, you will get all of the card, or you will get, you know, the wings as they come out, 1 wing at a time, but you get that card back immediately. And of course, March 19th or 20th wouldn't make a lot of sense for Blackrock Mountain unless you knew that it was also coming out next month. So next month, you're going to be playing Blackrock Mountain, and we're looking forward to all of the crazy decks you guys make with them and all of your feedback about all of it. So that's it, and thank you very much for coming to the Blizzard panel.